Good morning, viewers. This is Professor Manoj Pandey from Birla Institute of Management Technology, BIMTech. On the behalf of BIMTech and also on behalf of Indian InsurTech Association, I extend my hearty welcome to all the people who are joining this webinar. This is an exciting time. Technology is disrupting all the functioning, not only in insurance, across all the industry. And to discuss about the impact of technology in insurance sector, this particular leadership talk series is being arranged in association with India InsurTech Association. So just to introduce, I have with me Miss Anu Ghosh. She's an expert and a very seasoned professional in life insurance domain. Started her career in life insurance, then she shifted to the private sector, and currently she is working with SUD Life and looking after the banking channel. I have with me my own colleague, Professor Pratik Pridasi, who has got almost 30 years of experience in general insurance domain. Started career in United India and then worked in Tata AIG, IFCO Tokyo, founding member of L&T General Insurance, and presently we are lucky that he is with us as a faculty. I also have with us today the star speaker, Mr. Mahavir Chopra, who is basically a chartered accountant, but again, he has moved to the insurance sector. And just we were asking how could he move from CA to insurance, and his very first impression answer was, I was feeling bored. So at least to Mr. Mahavir, insurance is an exciting sector, and that's a great news to us. India InsurTech Association is a body promoted by the professionals, those who are working in InsurTech space to help the insurance industry. To tell more about India InsurTech Association and as well as to introduce the guest formally, I invite Ms. Anu to take it forward. So over to you, Anu.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, and good morning, everyone. As Professor said, that I would have to, of course, introduce India InsurTech Association first. So I will borrow a few minutes from your time. InsurTech is a hot topic of conversation within the insurance ecosystem in India. There was no formal body driving interaction between startups, insurers, professionals within that space. And so the India InsurTech Association, or IIA, was founded in August 2020 as a not-for-profit that brings together the entire InsurTech ecosystem of startups, insurers, reinsurers, policymakers, service providers, and insurance professionals onto one single platform. Now, although we have, we have defined mission and objectives, let me tell you, one of the core missions and objectives of IIA is to promote thought leadership with regards to insurance and InsurTech. For us, the growth has been great in under 2 years. We already have over 140 members now. We published our second annual report in collaboration with BCG on India InsurTech landscape and trends. So those who are interested can, basically download these report on our website. We have partnerships with organizations such as Institute of Actuaries in India, National Insurance Academy, Gift City, and of course, BIMTech. Also, to help our startup members to grow globally, we have done a number of tie-ups with similar global InsurTech associations, such as Italian InsurTech Association, InsurTech Australia, InsurTech London, InsurTech Israel, and so on and so forth. In India, we have conducted our first annual in-person event in New Delhi in April 2022, with more than 200 delegates from across India who registered for the IIA event. We collaborated with IRDAI for their first event on InsurTech in May 2022. The entire event was streamed live and had a large audience who joined us in person and online. Keeping in mind that, of course, IIA key objective is to be at the forefront of thought leadership, we are pleased to collaborate with BIMTech in the InsurTech Leadership Talk Series to bring in experts to speak on cutting-edge topics around InsurTech. It is my pleasure to introduce Beshak.org, which is a unique revolutionary community of experienced insurance professionals who have come together to bring back trust in the insurance space. Domain experts, professional advisors, and research experts on the platform support customers, right from answering their questions on the forum product discovery through recommendation tools, and expert discovery through its recently launched marketplace. I'm sure many of you who are curious will go and visit their platform. It is a very, very interesting way to interact and draw communication and conversation around insurance and insurance products. It is also, in my experience, fairly neutral in its approach to the different products that they review. It is my honor to introduce Mahavir Chopra, who is the founder of this community-led InsurTech platform, a chartered accountant by qualification, not profession. Mahavir has been in the InsurTech space for over 17 years, even before it was called InsurTech. He co-founded one of the first InsurTech platforms in India way back in 2006. His last stint was with CoverFox as their CBO. Mahavir actively writes columns for financial publications. So readers of ET, Mint, and Money Control may be familiar with Mahavir's writing already. And like all of you who have joined today, I look forward to this session on building trust deficit in insurance using technology. Over to you, Mahavir.
Thank you, Anu, for your kind introduction, both for Beshak and for me. What I will be basically doing in the next 15 minutes or so, I'll basically take you through our perspective and our overall thought process, philosophy, in why we created Beshak and how it can actually be a very, very complementing, startup or a complementing player in the entire insurance ecosystem. So I'll just share my screen. Just give me a moment. Just let me know once you're able to see my screen so that.
Yeah. Yes, it's visible.
Yes. So the participants who are there on the call and people who will watch this video later, the biggest difference that we are trying to bring in is largely the startups that you would have seen in the insurtech space are trying to solve A problem, B problem, right? We are kind of unique because we are to start with mission driven, completely mission driven in the sense that we've started with a mission first philosophy. In fact, when we started the organization, we didn't have, to be very honest, have a revenue model in picture when we started it. So it was a completely mission driven startup, and it is completely community led. And I'll take you through the entire presentation where you'll know how this has been done. Before that, I basically wanted to give you some background, and this background is about 3 stories and 2 insights that will come out of these 3 stories. Right. The first story is something that a lot of people who are veterans in the industry will relate with. It's the insurance guy in parties, right? So insurance people typically are knew the concept of social distancing even before social distancing happened during pandemic. People who are from the insurance space, and typically this is my perspective and my lens. There are people when you're in parties, they're talking about stock market. Some people are talking about, let's say, technology. Some people are talking about X topic, Y topic, Bitcoin, whatever. And then there will be someone like us who is talking about insurance, and then there will be pin drop silence, right? People don't want to listen about insurance. People don't want to discuss about insurance unless you are talking bad about insurance. So if you're basically talking things which are going wrong with insurance, you will get amazing people to contribute. But if you're talking about a good product, everybody's antennas will go up. They will start thinking that you're selling. So insurance largely has been known as something which is sales oriented and has been known as something where, unfortunately, the PR or the word of mouth is that people take money and then they don't actually return it back, or there is a lot of mis-selling that happens, which is a word that is associated with insurance most amongst all financial products. This is the second story. It's in a book which has become very popular, and it's almost there in almost, just one second. It's there in, it's published in almost every language in the country, and it is written by a very, very renowned journalist who's recently turned an author. And this actually story intrigued me a lot and actually flipped me. It made me feel and think a lot. In fact, to an extent, I was angry to listen, to read this. And I'm sure when you read this, you will also feel the same way. There is a lot of context to why she has written this, but this is what she's written in her book. She's written that you need to treat the insurance industry and those who sell the same like walking through reptile infested waters. Okay, she's not talked about this in a video. She's not talked about this in an article. She's written a book in which she's written this, right? So there is something that is wrong with this space, or probably the perception of the space, that actually intrigued me a lot, saying that, you know what, actually we are selling products which are really, really useful for customers. We are not selling a 1 lakh rupees phone to someone which is actually probably useless and can be solved. That problem can be solved for 10,000 rupees. We are selling probably a 2 crore insurance to a family, which will, when things go wrong, it could actually help the family, right? So it's a very noble product. It's a very noble industry, but the way people look at it is very, very different, right? So that's something that has intrigued me a lot. Also, popular perception is very different, right? This is something that Mr. Manoj and I discussed over Twitter also. This is a definition of insurance on Urban Dictionary. The Urban Dictionary definition for insurance is a business that involves selling people promises to pay later that are never fulfilled, right? And I'm talking about these things. You can actually verify this. You can actually go on internet and search about insurance on Urban Dictionary, and this is the first definition that will appear. The last story is about myself. So the first two stories are basically around things that are happening around me and that actually strike me a lot. And the third story is about me actually, where I saw while scaling online health insurance and life insurance in my last organization, where I was the chief business officer at CoverFox, that what we're trying to do with health insurance and life insurance specifically, where I specialize, is that we're trying to convert the car insurance playbook on health and life insurance. So what we're doing is that we're trying to say that, okay, take a quote, then we will follow up with you, we'll basically chase you, and then finally, because you need the product, you will buy it, right? But that does not really happen the way people look at health insurance. There is a lot of discussions, there is a lot of things that go in the background when people are actually thinking about health insurance, because it's a very, very long-term product. So it hasn't worked in the complex products domain. In fact, it's not worked not for companies that I worked for, but it has to a large extent not worked for even the largest aggregators in the country. If you look at their overall business, around 15% of the business that happens today is only health insurance, the volumes that happens today. 85% of the volumes that happen today online internet insurance aggregation is largely car insurance and bike insurance. Out of that 85%, 67% is bike insurance, right? So it's largely people just checking the box and trying to buy a transactional product. Complicated products, complex products cannot be sold with the playbook of car insurance, is what I understood in my 5 years journey working with CoverFox. We had a very, very large call center. We did a lot of work on the call center. We brought the best of the people to ensure that, you know, the sales that is happening is very advice led, but at scale, it did not work because of the kind of models we have, the revenue models that we have, and the kind of relationships we share with insurance companies. It becomes very difficult to be able to keep objectivity while you're talking to customers, while not forgetting your revenue models and how you're going to generate revenue. All this put together, if you finally look, there is also low customer satisfaction. So at one side, let's say there is a business model which is, let's say, doing extremely well. It has great volumes, it has great unit economics, but probably it may have bad customer satisfaction. That's absolutely fine in a certain way. I'm not saying it is good, but in a way it's certainly fine, because what's happening is that at least one person is happy, at least the business is happy, getting numbers, getting conversions. But the truth of the matter today is that most of the experience that we are seeing that is going on does not basically inspire confidence, and it does not bring in satisfaction. So if you go on the internet, and these are two tweets I've put here, if you go on the internet and you look at call center based businesses, which actually were very relevant probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, customers today, with the kind of privacy in their mind, meaning in the sense that they have become very sensitive about privacy, and the fact that other industries have grown and there is no call center going on, let's say in an Amazon or a Swiggy or a Zomato, people basically end up not being happy with call center led businesses is my third story, right? So this is something that has happened with me. I have worked very, very hard to solve for a call center industry. I have no problems. I have no, I'm not basically dissing the call center industry. This is my story. And I found that call centers are not the real play where customers can actually buy hardcore complex products like health and life, which people are going to invest for 40 years, right? So people typically buy at 28, 30, and they are looking at least getting covered till around 70, 75, which is the average age of, a person in India. Yeah. So this is where my realization happened, is that what I thought I was doing was I was like a Singham, and I'm doing great work for people. And what customers thought was that I was actually a Jaikant Shikre, right? And people felt that, hey, you're spamming, you are not giving the right product, your people are mis-selling, your people are doing this, you are doing that. So all that basically was my journey. And this is where I felt that, this needs to be changed. And what is the other way to actually look at this? What is the other approach that can be looked at, right? So there are two insights that came from this. And these are two insights which I'm not going to take a lot of time because I've already explained a lot while I was speaking about the story. So one is massive trust deficit, right? Products are complex. Past experience that customers have are not great. Unnecessary, if I could use the word, disproportionate amount of bad word of mouth, right? You just try it out, you do an experiment with your friends and family and just talk about good about insurance and see how many people contribute to it. And then you talk about bad about insurance and just see on Twitter, just if you're on Twitter, on Facebook, just say, I write one line, I had a bad experience with an insurer. Don't even name the insurer, even if there is no bad experience, and just see the comments that you're going to get, right? So there's massive trust deficit. And the second is significant credibility deficit also, in the sense that people who are selling these policies, people who are basically in the market, probably customers are not able to find the right people. Our basic philosophy is that there are right people, there are good products, there is a lot of good work that insurers are doing, everybody is doing in the industry. The problem is that it's very difficult for the customer to be able to actually pinpoint the right product versus the wrong product, the right person versus the wrong person. Every industry, obviously, I'm not talking about only insurance, every industry has this problem that it's very difficult for you to be able to find the right product. Probably easier to find the right product, but very difficult to find the right person. Let's say you're talking about any other industry also, it's true. But it becomes very, very complicated when it's for insurance, because there are two problems. One is that you are looking at a product which is largely a promise, which you will basically only see whether it actually turns out to be true when there is a claim. So there is a lot of ifs and buts when you're buying the policy. And the second is that there is a lot of word of mouth, which is not positive, it's very negative. So you are looking for the right person, and you are looking for the right product, and you are looking for people whom you want to trust, right? So these are the insights that I had, and based on which we thought that there is some solution that we need to come out with. So the industry has been working on awareness for a long time. And this is something that I will give due credit to everyone, right? Even including the new age players like a Policy Bazaar, for doing excellent work on the awareness front, right? If you see the ads that Policy Bazaar does, it does ads which actually make people aware about the importance of health insurance, term insurance. So there's no problem in terms of solving for awareness. I think we are all there in terms of trying to solve for awareness. What we have not solved for, in my view, and this is something that's my personal opinion, obviously, is we have not really solved for trust, right? And there are a lot of ways that can be done. And it's very smart to solve for trust in today's world, because the world is becoming more transparent. Social media is basically ensuring that things are on the scanner, even overdone in a lot of ways, in a lot of times, and hence trust becomes the most important thing for customers and for everyone, every other stakeholder, right? Awareness will basically bring you traffic and it will bring you leads, but trust is what actually will bring us customers, will bring us penetration, will bring us basically conversion, as I mentioned on the slide. So that's basically our way of looking at it. The solution will be about moving from looking at things from our point of view as an industry or the insurance sector, and looking at stuff from a point of view that, okay, what are the problems that we want to solve, and then basically force fit with the customer's needs. The other way to look at it, and that's where trust gets created, that you solve the customer's problem or the other side of the relationships problems first, right? And that's what we basically propose as a solution for every insurtech company or every insurance company, that a platform that exists today. That we need to build more customer-centric journeys, right? Where we don't force fit our goals on the customer, and we basically look at it in a very different way. For example, this is a very important example, and I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about 2 weeks back about this. Most of our websites today have, let's say, quote forms as the first screen, right? Not necessarily all customers that enter your website are actually looking for a quote, right? Probably for car insurance, it may be true. For bike insurance, it may be true. But for a product like health insurance, if you do a very dipstick survey in the market about people who are not from the industry, you'll know that there are many other problems that the customer wants to solve for, and many other questions that the customer has beyond just finding कि premium कितना है और product क्या है, right? So can we look at, when we have built the quote form on the homepage, it was largely from a thought process of copying the playbook of e-commerce companies and our own car insurance businesses, right? So there it probably works because people are coming for quick quotes, they want to know the price and buy the product. But if you're looking at complex products, you need to look at it very differently and solve for customer problems first, right? Second is outbound calls as a way to convert. Our view is that probably it is very difficult as a decision to be made, obviously, by anybody who is working on this. And I have been party to this. I have been someone who has actually spammed customers. I'm being very honest. We've done 8 calls, 9 calls in the first hour when a customer does leads. So it's something which is very compelling for a business to do, is call and try to get the customer to interact with you so that you are able to get him to talk and then convert that customer and make him buy a policy. But it is largely not working today. If you go and look at, or probably you look at segment the population, there's a large segment of population, which is the millennial population, which does not really like calling. Probably the solution could be chats. Probably the solution could be more education, content, videos on the website, right? The last thing is where we are talking about changing the entire thought process of not being SEO focused while we are writing content, but being customer centric, which is again a part of the journey that customer has. The earlier approach, and probably it worked in the past, was that write content for SEO, which is basically written with the focus that how do we get traffic, and then basically as soon as possible get the customer in the funnel to buy a policy. But it is changing. Customers are now wanting to buy things with a lot more awareness and want to buy things with a lot more education, right? And then buy the policy. And hence, writing content which is more customer focused is going to be very, very important. And why I'm writing this is because we keep looking at content of multiple websites, even in India and abroad. And what we see is that content is written with the focus of getting traffic and not education, right? To a large extent. That is what we want to change. And we basically feel that we want to evangelize with the community to change because the world is changing, right? How is Beshak doing it is going to be my quick explanation of in terms of how we are working on this. So for trust, we have basically built a 100% independent research platform. We are not a distributor. We are not advertising with any insurance company to ensure that we are completely independent. So we are part of the industry, but we are actually looking at it from an outsider customer's lens. We have rating recommendation tools on our website to ensure that we are able to deliver our first promise, which is Sacha advice. We want to ensure that the advice that is going to the customer is completely conflict free. And it actually comes down to the fact that the customer is whatever the customer is looking for and what is from his lens or her lens is solved for. The second problem that we are solving, which I spoke about earlier, is the problem of credibility. That is something that we think at the current juncture that we are, where a lot of things has to be solved in terms of, let's say, claims, a lot of processes are still offline. A lot of things that we could do in the ecosystem needs to be solved for, like, for example, the hospital infrastructure and how to integrate with them and make payments. There is a need for humans to come in. And that's why credibility, in our view, can be solved only through community. And hence we built a very, very large community of curated professionals. A lot of people here, like Manojji is also part of the community, where they come together, come forward to solve questions that customers have. So we have a very, very active forum on our website where people come and ask questions, and these are answered by credible professionals, right? We have another product which is recently introduced about 6 months ago, which is called the marketplace, which I'll explain in the coming slides. But it's largely about getting the best people in the market who could provide long-term assistance, and not assistance only for purchase, but assistance beyond the purchase cycle and the entire journey, which is basically including claims to customers. Right. So that's our second promise at Beshak. That's the promise of giving an Acha advisor to the customer. So Sacha advice and Acha advisor is our two promises. Quickly, I'm going to show you the product. Obviously, you can go and check it out on your own, but I'm just taking some few minutes to show you the product. First product that we had built was the rating product, where we objectively help customer discover plans. This is an independent rating across various parameters. We recently even partnered with second largest daily financial daily in India called Mint, and created a product called Mint Beshak Ratings. You could basically check it on their website, or look for the link on our website. This is the most comprehensive comparison that has ever been done in the insurance space to date, where we do comparison not only on product benefits, but also on claims track records, and we do a lot of deep audit on the customer service side of the insurance space, where to the extent we actually do, we buy policies to check the journeys of insurance companies. We actually do so that customers get a quick preview of what is in store once they buy the policy. We also basically do audits on customer service, which is the toll-free number, the Twitter handle of the insurer, the Facebook handle of the insurer, and all that. So customers basically are able to get not only objective comparison of the product, but also get a good preview of the claims experience and the customer service experience. This is the comparison part of the same product, where you can actually look at various types of comparisons on the platform. You can actually look at parameters, and these are more than 100 parameters that you can compare from. Right. The forum is what I already spoke of. There is obviously Quora that exists, but with Quora, the problem was that anyone and everyone can go and answer the question. There is no bifurcation in terms of who's an expert and who's not. What we have done is that we have created a curated community here. So that's why the answers are clearly tagged with specific labels. Like, for example, the screen that you're seeing right now, in that you can clearly see that this person, Rohit Dhingra, is an advisor, right? And you can actually, these are people who are verified and validated by us, and we have interacted with them before they are able to answer. Plus, these answers are moderated by a team of moderators at our end. So you customers basically not only get access to answers, but also answers from the right expert, and also answers which are moderated for promotional content. So you will get very, very undiluted, right kind of answers that you really look for as a customer. The marketplace is the most recent product, and this is where we are able to finally generate revenue for us. This is basically giving access to customers to the best, most comprehensive individual advisors in the market who are claims focused, right? That's what we wanted to bring in, and we worked very hard to find the right kind of advisors in the market who are not only good at product, but also good at claims, right? Again, this is curated. Again, this is moderated. So as a community platform, we ensure that everything that we're giving is moderated and curated. Very interestingly, when we built this model, we wanted to be a complementing player in the insurtech space. We wanted to ensure that we bring in something which is unsolved for, so that it basically brings in a lot of positive, it becomes a positive sum game for the industry, right? So when we built Beshak, we thought about this very hard, and hence we came up with this kind of a complementing model. For customers, I've already explained, you get unbiased advice, you get credible advisor. For even agent aggregators, advisor aggregators, we are helping them with the demand problem, right? The supply problem is what aggregators are solving for advisors. We are solving the demand problem for them. So advisors who are on our platform get demand from online customers, and then they can basically fulfill that with aggregators and help customers buy policies, right? For advisors, we are bringing in branding. They were never branded. They were never recognized on the internet platform. We are basically bringing them online. We are helping them create demand for themselves. And the last point is insurers. We are helping insurers get, in our view, decommoditized. If a product is really, really good, it will appear on our platform. If a product is not good, obviously it will not. But it brings in democratization of the entire product industry, product part of the insurance offering, because there is no because we are completely independent, we are showing everything very, very objectively, and we are also constructively involved with insurers, talk to insurers, engage with them for understanding their side of the story, and we build something which is completely democratized for the insurer, for the customer, both, right? It also helps in the long run. It will help because your game then becomes more of not commissions. It becomes largely about building the right product and the right infrastructure to help customers. Your numbers as an insurer also get predictable with our platform. So that's about it. That's about what we are and what we are doing. This is a traction slide where we thought we'll also give some update about where we are today. So we are more than 100 plus advisors who are listed on our platform as a marketplace. We have overall 30,000 community members, out of which there are about 7,000 plus advisors. We have a very, very, like I said, fledgling forum where we have more than 8,000 plus people, asking questions, answering questions, and all that. There is a tool, recommendation tool, where customers are able to get the right recommendation and discover the right product for them. More than 5,000 people have downloaded this report. And lastly, right now, as a revenue model, we are growing at 50%, 15% month on month. That's it from my end. Over to you, Manojji and Anuji.
Thank you, Mahavir, for this great presentation and the talk. It's really very impressive. As I said, now we'll be opening the floor for the questions, and already I have got few questions from my. I mean, some of them are my students, and some of the people are, I mean, even I don't know in person, but I have got the question. So the very first question is coming from one of the students, Mr. Jayasuriya.
Sure.
He is simply asking, because the topic of this discussion was InsurTech, and he's a first-year student. He said, how do you see the adoption of technology in insurance sector vis-a-vis other sectors? I mean, you have been in the industry for quite long time, and luckily by all way through using the technology. Even CoverFox was known for using technology, where you worked for quite long. Adoption of technology, rate of adoption of technology in insurance.
So we are talking, when we are asking this question, it's more about adoption of technology on the insurance side, right?
Insurance sector, yeah.
From the insurance sector point of view. So there are two aspects to this. I think as an industry, we've done really well from solving two problems. One is the problem of distribution with technology. So we are doing extremely well on distribution overall in terms of technology that we've adopted as an industry. There's a lot of focus on distribution, of course, that the entire industry has, and hence the kind of technology that has been built for distribution has been great. If you talk about a technology that's used by advisors using, let's say, a tablet, or going to a customer's house with a mobile phone and being able to explain products, I think there is a great amount of work that has happened there. We've done great on that side. Even on the internet, I think if you look at it from a distribution point of view, an online distribution point of view, there are very, very few countries which have end-to-end journeys in buying all products, right? There are a lot of countries which are behind us in terms of technology, in terms of online distribution, right? Where we do end-to-end journeys, where the customer is able to get a quote, fill the form, download the policy, right? There are a lot of countries which have not been able to still do it. And we've been able to do it like 14 years ago, right? We did it in 2008, 2009, right? So from a distribution point of view, probably being D2C for the insurer, or being it from a point of view of doing it or enabling an intermediary, I think we are very, very good compared to a lot of other geographies that exist. There are obviously problems which I don't want to talk about, because I think we are going in the right direction when it goes to distribution. I think where we currently need to invest was going to be on the customer service side, and is going to be on the claim side. I think not all players have been able to solve for seamless journeys beyond purchase. So after purchase, I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of investment that needs to be done, and the focus needs to come there, so that customers actually get after are being told about a product and promised about the service, are able to actually see the service in action seamlessly, right? Also because customers are now exposed to other industries, and where the technology has taken for the last mile, which is basically claims and policy issuance, has really gone ahead in the curve, right? For example, when customers are interacting with an Amazon or a Swiggy, they're able to currently see that where their product is, right? When are they going to get it? When is it going to reach them, right? So that fulfillment part, the last mile part, is something that we are still not there. I think that is where the industry will have to work on and will have to solve for. A lot of insurers and platforms that have come in, a lot of startups in the insurtech industry are doing an excellent job at it, but we are still not there. That's what my take would be.
And that is a very good perspective. Maybe because of introduction of technology only in the front end part, selling part, and not doing the proper work in the following sales and claim, is giving rise to the distrust more, perhaps. That can be the one of the. The second question has come because you talked about the online sale, and you shared a very good data that almost 67% of the online sale is all about bike insurance. Right now, whenever our student interact with any webinar or something, there is big picture being shown about the digital sale and digital platforms kind of that. The question coming from Mr. Rohit is, the insurance sector, can it, he basically asking about the viability of insurance sector. Can this digital space be really viable proposition for an insurance company? We are also getting the news, rumor that maybe some small insurance company would also be allowed by the IRDA, having less capital requirement. So do you see a viability of a small insurance company selling only motorbike?
Yes, there is, right? Meaning currently also there are companies which are doing that. So if you look at ACO, right? It's completely focused as a D2C company which only does car insurance and bike insurance primarily. Now they have started other products. So they started in 2017. We are in 2022. For the first 4.5-5 years, they've sold only car and bike D2C, right? So there is already an example of that in the space where car and bike insurance, because it has a very large market, already has seen a player which is doing excellently well and is a unicorn today, right? And it's a brand in its own self. So from that perspective, yes, this problem and this opportunity has been tapped by insurtech players already in the country. But there is scope because the market is huge. ACO has right now shown the way from a car and bike insurance point of view in terms of where things can go if people go D2C and what could be the strategy. I think there will be a lot of players who will follow suit and also do it in other spaces, plus also car insurance and bike insurance. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah. Another question is coming from Mr. Sachin. His question is very genuine. Even I have the same question to you. Distress is coming because there is in our country, we have this tied agency concept where the one agent is tied with one particular insurance company. And even if he believes that perhaps the competitor's policy could be a better proposition for the customer, he's bound to sell because his livelihood is attached with that particular company. Is it the time to delink this? Maybe we can have agent dealing with all the insurance company. Becoming a broker, a small broker in his individual capacity.
Right. So there are two aspects to this. I think one is absolutely right. I think a lot of distrust will go down if agents are able to sell more policies. That's a very, very valid point. The other aspect of this is, but are all agents equipped to be able to compare all products and being able to then objectively give comparisons and then being able to give objective advice, right? Where the conflict of interest still will be there because there will be favorites. Like I have been a distributor all my life, and I can say this very, very without any doubt is that all distributors will have favorites, right? So it will solve the problem to a certain extent, but there will still be a lot of work to be done by it is not only about the product, right? It is about that you are selling one product to the customer. There are so many advisors in the country who are selling only PSU products to customers. The fact of the matter is that not the product is the problem or selling only one product is the problem. The problem that should be solved is the fulfillment problem, right? Whether we are able to sell right and give the right information to the customer कि sir ये pay होगा, ये pay नहीं होगा. If that is solved, and the second is when the actual claim arises, whether you are standing with the customer and selling the right policy, you're basically helping him with the claim. Sorry. So if you are able to do that, I think trust can be solved even that way. At an individual level, an agent can even solve trust by just meeting his promises and delivering on his promises, right? At a very micro level. At a macro level, I think the problem can be solved with two ways. One is that the POSP model that has come in, where agents can now basically become a part of a broker and then basically get to sell multiple products and from multiple brands, almost all the brands that the the advisor or the broker is selling. So that's enabling this already. I think there should be another model that should come up. And I think, Manojji, we discussed this in another forum in the past, is that there should be probably a super agent kind of a model where a license is given to a certain section of advisors who basically probably give an additional exam and basically have a little more higher qualification than, let's say, 10th pass, 12th pass. And these are people who actually prove that, okay, I have the depth and I have the qualification and the knowledge to be able to sell multiple products, and then basically they are able to tie up directly with a lot of insurers, right? So a concept like a super agent, I'm not obviously using meaning a name which is a level up agent who can actually be given a license to do multiple products, but based on curation again, which is where there is two things that happen. One is that the qualification of this person is checked so that there is some background check that is done, and the level of knowledge is checked through probably an exam, which is more in-depth than the current agency exam.
Okay. Another question is coming from Mr. Himanshu Raj. He's asking, and a very basic question. You talked about the trust deficit and perception, negative perception about the insurance professionals. So his question is very simple. Is it the problem only in India, or you have seen and felt it abroad also?
See, if you look at it, India is a unique market. At the same time, it has a lot of problems which are common to other countries also, right? We are creating complex products. So when I speak to insurers, insurers are forced to create complex products because the market is also very complex, right? The frauds that happen in India today in insurance are way higher in terms of if you compare it to developed nations. There are frauds happening everywhere, but the frauds that happen in India are very high in nature compared to, let's say, if you look at other countries. Because of the diversity, because of the length and breadth that the country is, right, the kind of population we have. From that perspective, trust comes from giving trust, right? So the first problem that exists today is that insurers largely, if I can use that word, are not able to create products where they are purely trusting the customer, right? Products are complex and conditions are created and a lot of rules and regulations or basically procedures or concepts or conditions, exclusions are built in products, and the claims process is also made slightly longer because there is a lot of fraud that happens, right? By solving fraud, if you are able to do right segmentation of customers and you are able to solve for fraud, insurers will be able to trust customers well. And if insurers are able to trust customers well, then the products will become simple and hence customers will be able to trust insurers, right? This ecosystem has to be created, right? When you talk about countries abroad, a lot of countries abroad are able to solve for very simple products because the ecosystem there has matured and doing fraud becomes very, very complicated and difficult. The litigation system is very solved. The liabilities that get created on the financial side are also solved. So when all these things fall in place is when you are able to actually create a trust environment. So it's not very as simple as it is. It is extremely complex. A lot of ecosystem is involved. Answering your question in short, it's basically that yes, to a large extent, the trust deficit is higher in the country compared to a lot of other countries, largely because it's also give and take. The trust that should generate from the insurer is also not great. From the customer side also, there are problems because there is a lot of more fraud that insurers are affected in India compared to other countries. So yeah, it's not an easy answer. Actually the question was very simple, but the answer is actually very complex.
Another question is fitting into this question. The question is coming from Nisha, and she simply is asking, sir, is this proposition of getting a standard product by regulator itself is a solution for this?
Right. No, that's a very good question. The problem is that standard products will work when there is a differentiation on the on the customer service side and on the claims side, right? Insurers need a differentiation. Any marketer, right? Any product, any industry, any player needs a differentiation to stand in the market with the intermediary and with the customer, right? Today, if you look at it, our claims, our customer experience is what is very, very commoditized and very, very standard, and people are not able to differentiate between that. And hence, insurers are forced to do products and make products which are differentiated, because I'm not able to differentiate on experience. I'm not able to differentiate on customer service. I need to differentiate on products, and hence the need and the urge of creating new products with new features, so that I'm able to create conversations with customers, right? The day we are able to differentiate on the matter of customer experience and on claims very, very objectively is when we can standardize products and make the product simpler, right? Today, the problem is, because this is not the situation, we have we are not able to get a clear lens on what is the kind of product experience you're going to get when you buy the policy, not going to experience know the claims experience. There is no objective data that is available. Without this being available, products will never get simpler and never get standard. Short answer to this is standard products can sell in a market where differentiation is on something else, which is the experience side, right? When the experience side is something very commoditized today, and you're not able to differentiate between A and B insurer, then the insurer or any manufacturer in the industry will have to only compete on product benefits. Hence, it becomes very difficult for standard products to do well in the market. Today, no insurer in the market is selling standard products. Either it's term life or it is health insurance. Nobody's selling it. If you go on most of the websites, it's shown very deep in the website. You'll have to look for it, search for it, and get it. Primarily because they want to differentiate on the product, because they are not able to differentiate on the experience.
I can see you're concerned about the servicing aspect in all the answers, and that's the real concern for the industry.
Yes, because if you're able to solve for the experience, is when basically the industry will be able to solve for trust and will be able to solve for product experience, product complexity also. Currently, the urge of trying to build in new features is coming from the urge of being different in the market. But actually the customer, what he's looking for is very different. He's looking for कि भाई claim मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा, right? He's not looking for one more additional shiny feature in
right,
the product.
yes, that's true, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, another question is coming from Mr. Sapnil Vyas. He's asking कि अगर कुछ गलत होता है मार्केट में तो कंपनी को पेनलाइज कर दिया जाता है. What about that individual? That individual not be debarred from becoming advisor anywhere else? एक जगह फ्रॉड करके दूसरी जगह वो एजेंट बन जाता है.
Right. Yeah, so I think this problem can be solved with a database, right? Meaning there has to be a uniform, standard, unified database across insurance companies. I don't.
But that's there. That is there.
Sorry, it is there.
All
Yes.
that.
It's there on the IRDA
by
website.
IRDA.
Yes.
Right. So that should solve for this problem. I would not be able to. Probably, I'm not privy to this.
No, but the answer to the question is that you are right. While the company may be penalized in some way or the other, the individual within the company is also penalized. It's not like they are allowed to continue to do business with you after doing.
Maybe individual
frauds.
employee can be penalized. Maybe he can be sacked. But agent you can terminate. But that agent is very much available. He can go and join some other insurance company. You
right. So we are
penalize,
supposed to. Yes, so the terminated list is actually regularly updated and supposed to be updated by all the companies on the IRDA website. In fact, before hiring of agents or any other, what should I say, insurance advisor, you actually go and check that database before advising. That is the normal process.
Then there is a solution for that. Maybe they are overlooking it.
There is a solution,
now the tough question to you, sir, Mahavir, sir.
Right, sure. Go ahead.
That is coming. What is your criteria for branding someone as Acha advisor?
Okay. So we are a claims focused company. We think the proof of the pudding is in eating it, right? So we think that if an advisor is claims focused, he will solve for everything. He will ensure that the right product is sold. He will ensure that the right declarations are made. He will ensure that the right insurer is chosen, right? Because he is going to be there at the time of claims, or she is going to be there at the time of claims. So our primary focus when we are looking for an advisor is whether the advisor is focused on claims and solving for claims for a customer, and not only for selling, right? That's our first thing. Apart from that, we have a lot of other parameters, like in terms of how fast they are at responding to customers, how good are they at actually advice giving experience to customers, and a lot of other parameters that come into play. But primarily it is about claims focus, claims infrastructure. So we also basically go and check the advisors claims infrastructure, their team. We take references to check actual claims being serviced by these advisors, and then we onboard them.
The other question is coming from Mr. Hitesh. He's talking about your rating.
Right.
Maybe he's a pass out candidate or something. He talks that there are so many ratings in the market. Even you get a rating of the business schools, and where the known not so good business school also becomes the Asia's best school in the ranking.
Right.
So how to trust? I mean, whether the rating is coming from Beshak, Mint, or coming from Times of India,
Totally.
how do we trust that rating?
Absolutely. That's a very, very good question. The only way to solve for that is to look at the organization and look at what it is doing, right, in action. Today, as a organization, we are not taking advertisements from insurers. We are not taking advertisements from any kind of insurance player. We are ensuring that we are not selling any insurance plan, just to ensure that we are independent, and so that we are able to give the kind of information that a customer is looking for. The way for a person who is from looking at it from an outside lens is to find out whether a company who is listing or doing rating is also advertising and with the same insurer or same party, right? Like, for example, if there is a website which is rating on probably, like you said, banks, right? And in that same magazine, if there are ads of that same bank or of other banks, then obviously there is a slight conflict of interest that can arise, right? What we have done with Beshak is that we have first created constraints for ourselves. So our philosophy, we have created constraints where we say we'll never do advertisements with any insurance brand. We'll never get into any sales or leads kind of arrangement with any brand in the country, right? So we first ensured that we are completely independent and uninfluenced, and then we build the ratings. And that is the right way to build ratings, and that is the right organization where you should look at ratings. Wherever there is a conflict, you should basically be as a person, and whenever you're buying anything and when you're looking at consuming any content, you should, and which you're going to rely to make decisions, you should always try to understand the conflict of the person who's giving you advice, who's giving you information.
That's true, sir. You talked about not SEO focus. So one of my students, Utkarsh, is asking, is it not necessary to focus also on SEO, because through that only you will be known to the mass public in digital space?
Totally. No, very, very good question. I am not saying that you should not focus on SEO. What is SEO? SEO is basically helping write content, which is what is relevant to a person who's searching for that content, right? The way search engines like Google are evolving, they're becoming smarter and smarter, right? It is smart and it is actually intelligent for you to focus on writing customer-centric content, is because Google search engines are now looking for customer-centric content to serve to their customers who are readers who are searching on Google, right? So if you focus on customer-centric content and write your content, there's a much higher chance of you to rank compared to you just focusing on SEO and not writing customer-centric content and then being able to rank. Because engines are getting, if you read about search engine optimization largely and how it works, very, very aggressively, engines are becoming more and more smarter and ensuring that content which is written only with the focus of achieving traffic do not get served on their search results, and content which is really relevant for the customer is served, right? Imagine a situation where you're searching on a search engine like Google and you get wrong results, right? That search engine's traffic will go down, right? That search engine will lose credibility. So for search engine, it's very, very important that they serve the right result. If 2 times Google gives you wrong results, your trust for that search engine will go down. So it's very, very important for search engines to give you the right content, and hence it is very, very important for businesses to write the right content. right? Because then that's where it will basically converge, and that's where you will start getting traffic. So the world is changing, engines are becoming smarter, AI is being used. You will have to write customer centric content and then do SEO on it, and not the other ways, which is where you write SEO content and just push it on the website.
Sir, I hope you can spare a few more minutes because there are 6-7 questions. You
No
can
problem.
give the answer quickly.
So the questions are very good, Manoj ji. So I'm enjoying answering.
One gentleman is asking his name. I mean, it is in the question answer section only, anonymous attendee. He's asking that are you dealing only with the insurance product or are you dealing with the other financial products? And if yes, are they financial planners registered with SEBI?
Very good question. Today we are focused only on insurance. We are not doing any other product right now because our specialty and our experience is in the insurance space. Because customers are looking for other products, probably 2 years from now we may do other products, but today we are just focused on insurance.
Okay, sir. Then another question, very simple question coming from one of my students. Sir, what do you expect from a student like us? How can we help the insurance industry?
Right. I think right.
Stuti.
Yeah, Stuti. So Stuti, the thing is that I think all of us, it makes commercial sense from every point of view, not only like I'm coming from a mission driven organization. So it may sound very, I'm evangelizing customer centricity, but in today's world, the transparency that exists in the world, social media bringing transparency, and actually everything is under scanner today. It only makes sense to be customer centric. So whatever you do in this insurance space, probably in underwriting, claims, or you're in sales, you're in distribution, ensure that you are focusing on the customer and solving for customer problems, and you will do well. That's what I would suggest. And that is a win-win situation for everybody.
Other questions coming from Mr. Abhigyan Deep. He's asking, how do insurer can set long-term goal in a situation where things are evolving on very regular pace? I mean, a specific question is, how do insurer can set long-term goal with rapidly evolving customer needs and preferences?
Actually, I have not understood this question.
उनका ये कहना है कि आजकल लोगों के रिक्वायरमेंट ही रोज बदल जा रहे हैं. इस संदर्भ में
allow me to answer this. So basically, a long-term goal is not embedded or etched in stone, right? Long-term goals also keep changing for insurers. So while now there are these different, earlier we used to talk about 5-year goals and 3-year goals. Now these are broken down into smaller, like quarterly goals, and depending on the evolving situation, the evolving market, economy, everything, all of these kind of keep getting revised. It's actually very simple. It's not so complex anymore. Earlier it used to be कि जो बोल दिया सो बोल दिया, वो कभी change नहीं होगा. But over the years, I think organizations have also learned in the process, and there is a review every 3 months. There's a review every 6 months. So this constant upgradation of the constant, adjusting to the environment that is done to the long-term goals.
But I have a supplementary question, ma'am, to you only, because you are practicing. So in the digital space, we listen and read so many inputs, and we talk about personalization of insurance product. I mean, how can you make a personalized insurance, particularly life insurance domain? Okay, it can be a group of people, like in hyper personalization of product development. I myself doubt about it.
When we talk about hyper personalization, Professor Pandey, it's normally about the experience that you talk about, that you are getting from the whether it is insurer or anybody, whoever is providing you any digital service or solution. It's not necessarily always about the product only. It could also be, the kind of like, what is the offering? Now, I may have 30 products in my portfolio. Hyper personalization could be, once you've done your need analysis on the digital platform, they tell you like 4 very specific products are probably given to you, and that you can say to some extent can be named as hyper personalization when it comes to products. But most of it is primarily about, people. It's about predicting whatever that you've done so far, and then use that analytics and see that the next time you basically preempt him to say, this year you had made some switch. are you offering to make any, do you want to make a free switch at this time of the year? So those are what we call hyper personalization. And I agree that at least in the life insurance space, it is not as exciting as general insurance, which when Mahavir said that because he found CA line boring, so he shifted to insurance. I think I also find that there's a lot more, what should I say, exciting stuff happening in the GI space. LI is still catching up, and it is still a place that we hope to match GI soon enough.
Okay, so this will be the last question, and this question is very straight to Mahavir sir, and it's coming from some Sarthi Srinivasji. He has complimented your approach, sir, and then his question is, given the enforced constraint to avoid any conflict of interest, such as no advertisements, I would like to better understand Beshak's revenue channels.
Sure. Yes. So, while we have kept the constraints are very clear, we are not basically doing any revenue generation from any platform or from any insurance brand, or we are not even doing revenue generation from any insurance company. Where we generate our revenue is largely from the community itself, right? The supplier side of the community is where we generate our revenue from. So the advisors that we have, they basically pay for subscription, they pay for training, they will probably pay for tomorrow, let's say even listing on the website. That is where we will basically focus on. I think in a large way, it is because it's a community, and customers in India are still not ready to pay at scale for services like advice today in the country. If you see, the market is extremely small. Our monetization largely is going to be on the supplier side, where we will basically partner with them to help ensure that while they get more presence, while they get more revenue than they would have be able to earn on their own, we are able to basically generate revenue through our services, like giving them infrastructure listing, giving them introducing them to other community members in the platform.
Thank you, sir. I think with this question, we will close the session, and I will request, thank you very much, Mahavir sir, from my side, from the behalf of the club in motion. So I will invite my colleague, Professor Pratik Pidarsi, to say a few words and also propose the formal vote of thanks. Mute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, you see, the basic inquisitiveness of the students that we have centers around the fact that this is something which is beyond insurance. Typically, what we understand and what we used to understand about insurance was, a situation of direct sales. It was only in the early part of this century, when the private sector came into being, that we also learned the concept of online issuance of policy, because by that time the general insurance had also caught up with the situations prevalent around the globe. So that was the background, that was the history that we had when we came up with computerization and the issuance of online policies, the concept of a point of sale, where somebody could walk into with a laptop and a printer and, okay, fine, issue the policy. That was what we called an achievement at that spot of time. Thanks to the developments later on, particularly, and efforts from people like you, and believe me, I'm grateful to the Lord Almighty that you found CA to be boring. Had you not come to our space, maybe we wouldn't be having this discussion, or maybe taking this forward to the next logical step. That's the kind of situation that we are in today. We need role models. We need heroes. We need entrepreneurs who can show the way that, okay, if at the cost of this issue, we are still willing to work. And I think this is a message that goes down to the students who are willing to take a chance. Typically, even we today, we think that entrepreneurship, is something very difficult. You must have hordes and hordes of money. Only then can you start off. Now, those days are history now. So the communication that you've passed on, particularly the questions that you've taken, and of course, thanks to Anu here, I insist that people sitting here should look at the exciting opportunities in the general insurance sector. So what, my good friend Professor Pandey is also sitting here. So what, he's an expert in life insurance. But believe me, sir, the excitement is there in the GI sector. Having said that, when it comes to technology and when it comes to insurtech efforts, they do not make a distinction between GI and LI per se. because at the end of the day, it is technology which is catering to both the factions, so as to say. So from that perspective, I think the scope is limitless. I should not be using the term that the sky is the limit, because there is no sky here. We've already crossed that frontier. On that note, I think I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Mahavir Chopra and Ms. Anu Chaudhary. And of course, thanks to both the teams at BIMTech and at InsurTech Association for having the entire batch of students, particularly along with Professor Pandey and I. Thank you very much. It was a session which I'm sure we look forward to having it again. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this signing, you sign up. Thank you, Anu. Thank you,
Bye.
Mahavir ji.
Bye.